Sarah guides today's leaders on how to think and work like innovators, and also advises on collaborative team success. In addition, Sarah is a past chair of the Edison Awards, whose mission is to recognize, honor, and foster innovators.
It's very important to look around the multiple areas of conversation that are engendered by a problem and not just one single area. We have things that are very time-bound. We don't often have just sort of that loose time, 3 hours, 4 hours, to connect and actually just talk about the insights that we have. Many times we want to brainstorm and create solutions right from the beginning. This squeezes out some of the ability to think more broadly about the problem and to, in fact, actually align on what it is that you're trying to solve. Edison insisted that people learn to actually ask questions through the reading that they were doing, to make notes, and to think about what their point of view about a particular problem was before they actually came to a meeting.
First question is kind of simple. Last week I was in Puerto Rico on the beach, and my little 7-year-old son, he started building this stuff. We dig stuff in the sand, and he put up these sticks, and he said something like, "My inventions are really big," something like that, right? And I just get the sense that these 1 billion new young people that are coming into the workforce, that they expect not only collaboration, but they also expect to invent, and they expect to be part of the creation. They don't want to be told what to do and execute. There's intrinsic value in that creation. Do you see that, and what is that, and what are the implications of that for us?
I think there is an expectation that Gen Y has about that. And I think part of it is related to sort of a tactile nature to the workplace itself. The ability to actually go and have spaces where you can create things. MIT did a study, I believe it was 2 years ago, just talking about the notion of invention. And what they realized is that we've gotten away from this tactile connection to things. That we haven't picked up drills and saws and screwdrivers and drawn things with pencils and markers and say, I'm going to make this. And this is a 3D capability that we lose if we don't entertain that. So when I hear about your son or see children at play doing this, or you think about Gen Y wanting to do this, you say, yes.
Just drawing that a little bit. So he has 3 labs, right? He started 200 companies over the course of his lifetime.
Yes.
He managed his relationship with J.P. Morgan and all his financial investors. How did he manage his time? How did he know which to focus on and which lab to be at when, other than he wanted to be in Florida in the winter?
Well, I think this is a fascinating question, and because of the complexity I talked about that we all face today, we are challenged to figure out what is the most productive use of my time. How do I deal with all these competing demands? It's crucial to be intense, but also to step back and to be a high communicator. I think those are very important qualities that create the ability to manage so much. He communicated a great deal verbally. He communicated a great deal in handwritten form, and also by telephone and telegraph. Those were his preferred forms of conversation. So if you were on one of Edison's teams and you got something from him, you needed to respond very rapidly.
Yeah, Steve Jobs, that he would expect something of you that was impossible, and then you would do it because you didn't know it was impossible. So then you have this experience of doing the impossible. And then you also talked about, you kind of create these impossible hypotheses, and then from the future and figure out how they're made. So that's related.
Right. Well, think about capturing the human voice. In the 1870s, that sounded pretty impossible. No one had ever done it before. What would happen if you could capture the human voice and replay it over and over again? So you might have seen one of the hypotheses up there, which is, if I can mechanically reproduce sound, then I can create a commercial market. So this is the kind of thing I think that we get to when we are inventing and using our hands and thinking. You can actually then create those hypotheses while you're working. Right. So there's an efficiency there. It isn't just sitting down and saying, okay, I am now going to create 6 hypothesis statements. It's they actually come to you. They show up. You write them down over the course of your day, and then you can go and engage in them. So there's a fluidity about it, I think, that becomes part of our agility as collaborators and innovators. That's what Edison was really doing. That fluidity was present.
Yeah, it's almost like multiple hypotheses have to be true, all of which are not true.
Right.
And for the possibility to be
Right.
possible.
And so creating the sense of this horizon that's far away, and how do you get there?
Yeah. All right, so I've got a billion questions, but I'm sure other people do as well.
Well, actually, one business leader said it's not innovation that wins, it is perfect execution. So you touched on it now, but could you elaborate on that some more, your thoughts on execution process?
Really, where Edison comes down in that conversation is that, yes, the execution has got to be there. Edison was actually very much focused on quality and premium branding. He liked to get the top tier price for what he brought into the marketplace, similar to a strategy that we see Apple pursuing today. So he was always aiming for that. He had in mind, how would a customer be able to use this particular invention? When he was inventing the light bulb, this was in his thinking. How do we connect light bulbs together? What do we need to do to make it easy for a customer to turn on the lights? How can we actually monitor the use of electricity? How can we have it the system be maintained in an easy to understand way? So he thought a lot about the back end of the innovation process and was really very focused on that.
Yeah, so execution is, my favorite quote on this is, vision without action is a daydream, but
Right.
action without vision is a nightmare.
So this is something in terms of team capability, team expertise. You want to have the broad spectrum represented in that innovation effort, not just the front end, but also how could you potentially deliver this to a customer? What would that execution look like?
Great. Thank you very much.